The 986 Boxster was released to much acclaim back in 1996, and it wasn't until 9 years later that Porsche finally stopped the tease, giving us the hardtop mid-engine 987 Cayman. Like the 986 that came before it, the 987 shares many parts with the 911. %, in fact, with 41% coming from the Boxster and 20% being bespoke Cayman, mostly bodywork. From the driver's seat forwards, it's all but a 997. Initially we got the 3.4 litre Cayman S, with the 2.7 litre base Cayman arriving a year later in 2006. It's now a 16-year-old car, and as a first rung on the Stuttgart ladder, it's the most affordable entry point into modern hardtop Porsche ownership. But does the smaller engine car lack the power to work its chassis hard? It does wear the much favoured Porsche badge up front after all. By today's standards, the 2.7 has a measly 245 brake horsepower and 201 pounds-foot of torque, but with a curb weight of only 1300 kilos, that's enough to propel it to 62 miles an hour in 6.1 seconds and onward to a top speed of 160 miles per hour. And speaking of its weight, at only 1300 kilos, this is the lightest Cayman ever made. It's a full 50 kilos lighter than its sibling, the Cayman S, and it's even 20 kilos lighter than the stripped out aluminium doored Cayman R. Compared to the S, the base car came with smaller 17-inch wheels, softer rear springs and thinner anti-roll bars. It also had just 5 forward gears, unless the original buyer ticked the very rare sports package option. With that you get 10mm lower and switchable PASM active suspension, a lovely snickety 6-speed manual gearbox and an annual road tax charge of £615. Visually, the non-S has black instead of red brake calipers, a single trapezoidal exhaust pipe and black instead of silver front spoiler lips. I think it's refreshing to see a car wearing plump 50 profile rubber. It gives it an almost retro look but promises a compliant and fluid chassis. In the cabin you sit low and cocooned. The doors close with a solid clunk. A twist of the key wakes the flat 6. The gear lever neatly clicks into first. It all feels well telegraphed, composed and responsive. Yep, this is a proper Porsche. Once rolling, it absorbs the road surface, staying flat and controlled, letting through just enough of what the 4 contact patches are up to. Everything you touch with your hands and your feet, the steering wheel, the gear lever, the 3 pedals. They don't just all feel individually right, they all feel like they've been very finely tuned to work together. They're perfectly aligned, perfectly spaced and perfectly weighted. The smaller wheels and minimal rubber are a good thing on the road. There's less grip so the car moves about more, combined with the delicious control weights and hydraulic steering that provides proper, genuine feel. On deserted, clear-sighted roads and with a few corners thrown in, I find the Cayman as close to perfect as it's possible to get. The steering just brims with feel, the front is smooth and direct, and there is a deep-seated quality in everything it does. The flat 6 motor lacks ultimate grunt but is exceptional when it comes to induction noise. From behind your shoulder comes a range of distinctly different harmonies, from tick over right to the limiter. Loaded with character, when you spank it hard, keep it above 5,000 revs per minute and you're golden. find yourself in the wrong gear as you go for an overtake, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel a bit slow. Can a 160 mile an hour car really feel slow? When the chassis is this eager to change direction, with communicative grip, balance, precision and all the traction you'll ever want or need, and when it's powered by a small capacity normally aspirated engine that only delivers its best between 5.5 and 7,000 RPM, yes it can. The truth is, BMW's i3 feels quicker than my Cayman almost all of the time. But the reality is, of course, that it's the power delivery that makes it feel far quicker than it actually is. But I say to crave power misses the point of the 2.7 Cayman entirely. It can be fully extended regularly without posting silly numbers on the dials, and with lesser grip the slip angles are there for you to explore at sane speeds, exposing the chassis' beautiful balance. First generation base Cayman simply does what you ask of it, obediently. It builds immense confidence, and it does that regardless of power. Should you get one? It's a used car bargain right now. It's relatively cheap to buy. In my experience, it's very cheap to run. More practical than it has any right to be. Yet it feels every bit a Porsche without any of the usual financial downsides. And it might just be one of the most entertaining cars you'll ever drive.